and welcome to Desi Sportscast. And it's a special interview today with a big personality from Indian football, Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. Hello, and it's a very, very warm welcome to Mr. Bajaj. He doesn't need any introductions from me. How are you, sir? And whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. And right now at home in Chandigarh, in Punjab. So things are looking a little bit better, if you can say that. But it just keeps going up and down. I mean, it was looking better a few months ago, then it went again up. And the same thing, I think, happening in the UK as well. So
Yeah,
we're trying to ride it through. And because we know, see, the point is, even if we get the vaccine, I think we'll have to learn to live with it for a couple of years before it gets back to normal.
yeah, it's been what can you say about 2020? But like you say, it's coming back here in the UK. We're having more restrictions put on. We just come out of it, but where I live in Leicester, in fact, we've not come out of it. We've had some sort of restrictions from the get-go. We've never come out of it. So, indeed, how have you been coping? Because this is a question I've asked everybody I've interviewed. It's not been easy. Personally, I found it tough for the first few weeks working from home, and I know you're an energetic person. How's it been for
Exactly.
you?
Someone who's playing football all the time, and at least he's on the field, if even if he's used to being there in the morning and in the evening. And then when you're locked up in a room, it's a very, very odd thing, especially like you said, the first few weeks. It gets to your mind. So I was doing when there was complete lockdown was making sure that I lose a little bit of body fat, because I'd grown a little tummy, which had not happened for a long time. And because of this lockdown, it happened for the first time, because I wasn't working at all and just sitting at home.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's been a great learning experience. See, it was now I realized that when we have to learn to live with it. I made sure that 2.5, 3 months ago, I created a bubble at Minerva, and we started testing. So the grounds were there, everyone's there. It's about keeping them safe. So if you find a way to do that, or at least try, then you've got a way ahead. And what we did was we tested all the boys who were coming in for paid camps. We kept them in quarantine for a day till the test came out. Once the test came out negative, we shifted them inside. And we've actually done that safely for the last 3 months now. We've got over 60 campers who have come and paid, and they're learning and training every single day, morning, evening. The coaches themselves are tested, and we do random testing in the middle. After every 2 weeks, we pick out 4 or 5 kids in the middle and we test them. And
Wow.
till now, everything has worked out fine.
That's incredible, because even here, as you know, when we had Project Restart with the APL and everything, nobody was allowed in the grounds. Forget about academies. So
The
for you
point
to
is,
do that is incredible.
I don't think it's a bubble when you have to go from your hotel to the ground. Okay, unless your hotel is in the ground. It's a bubble when you don't move out. And luckily, we have that in Minerva. We have a 20-acre campus. So we've got the gym inside, we've got the pool inside, we've got the field, the mess, the hostels. They're all self-contained. So I can't go and meet, for example, because I live here, I'm outside the bubble, even though I'm tested every 2 weeks, but I'm outside the bubble. So I can't go meet any of the boys. Only the coaches who are living inside the bubble can coach them. And then there's a special session for people coming from outside, that the coaches who are living locally, they go in and they train the boys who come out on a daily basis. So, I mean, it is doable, but all it takes is one weak link to break it. And we've had a couple of close calls, but nothing to actually alarm us. So we've actually become better doing this. And, if you somehow get the people who are in the bubble to buy in, that thing that end of the day, if something happens, this is going to be called off and all of you are going to be sent home. They know what's at stake.
Mm.
So if they understand, the players themselves understand that, it's easier to deal with.
A couple of points, though, from what you've just said, and before I turn to the man himself, is the fact that you did this bubble in the academy that's incredible. Like I said, professional footballers didn't have that until Project Restart. So to do that at academy level, that shows the commitment.
See, 3 months ago, I tweeted. So do you know what was happening was, I saw on Twitter that in the under 16 AFC, we have Australia and we have Uzbekistan and we have South Korea in our group. So all three countries had started training the under 16 teams, and India had not even started. And that's the only way we can get to the under 17 World Cup to qualify, if we do well and we get out of the foreground. And I offered my academy and I gave them this. So I said I'll host the team for free, the under 16 team, and in fact the under 17 World Cup for women, which is happening in India. I said I'll host that team as well for free. Please come and train in the bubble. You'll never find this anywhere in India, where you'll find everything in one place. And it would have been very easy for me, because at that time, 3 months ago, everything was empty, and we had this huge. I really thought it was a waste, so I said must put it to some good use.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
can be done if you are really strict about all your stuff. Like even being the owner, I'm not allowed inside.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I'm not allowed inside.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you about the bubble is only as strong as its weakest link. I think it was just in the past few days, a coach driver of a football team or a team spread the virus, and quite a few players tested positive through the coach driver because they were traveling from the stadium to the hotel. So I totally get that point.
And I heard about that, and then they got the driver off in the middle of the journey when they came to know he's got but that was too late by then.
Yeah, but that's an incredible insight to yourself as well. And obviously, just to give you my little bit of background, huge Indian sports fan. I started this project about a year and a half ago. Got into Indian football because that was something new to me. Living in England, obviously, I'm surrounded by it, extremely passionate about my local club. But the question I always ask when I talk to folks back home is, how did you get back in? How did you get into football?
You're doing bloody well. Leicester City, hats off, man. The way I used to, when Leicester won it for the first time, and I used to say it. So if Leicester can do it, why can't you? And that was the season when I told my boys, if Leicester can do it, why can't you? And we actually went and did it. And it was the same Leicester story. In fact, our odds were 1:1400 to win it that year. Leicester was still 1:55 or something.
5,000, yeah.
Like, for example, there's the biggest team in India was Mohun Bagan, and Mohun Bagan's one player, Sunny Node, was costing something like 4 crores. That's all at that time was almost like $1 million. And my entire team was made from 1.4 crores. And that's the entire team, including coaches and everything else. And it was the lowest budget ever put up. And they went and won to win the I-League.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. But how did you get into football? If you, where does your interest start?
It's been and England has a great part to play in it.
All right, okay.
So I was at 16, started football at the age of 12, 13, pretty late, in the school team, playing nationals, got into the Santosh Trophy team for Chandigarh at senior nationals. Also played for India under 19s. And a lot of my boys who were with me, like Vijayan Singh, who played for India, and then Sangram Mukherjee, who was the fourth keeper, and I was the second keeper, and played in the Asian school games. In fact, where we had a chance, our team, I didn't play that match, but our team lost to South Korea 2-1. And I remember Park Ji-sung playing there, which I came to know later on after 5 years that guy's Park Ji-sung. In fact, 7 of the boys against us in the 1998 Asian School Games went on to play in the 2002 World Cup, which was held in South Korea, and they came third.
Yeah.
So that's the time I started believing that, listen, we lost to them 2-1, and it wasn't that like we were being overawed by them in any way. So there is a chance we can do it. And that's all, when you look at the junior results, you always see that. And there's something which happened from the transition, which is the big problem. And that I'll come to later. But so after that, I went to England. I was in London for 3 years. There was a college then, it's closed down now. There was a college then, which was an affiliate of London School of Economics, London School of Finance and Management. And I was there doing my honors in business management. So you know what all our Indian kids do? They get jobs in McDonald's or something like that. At that time, it used to be $3.20 or something like that an hour, or $3.60 or maybe £4 an hour.
Yeah.
And instead of flipping burgers, let me just be. So I got into being a security guard, and in fact, not only a security guard, I used to be huge in my playing days, and I was a door supervisor. So
wow, that's a tough job.
I had 5 licenses for 5 different boroughs. So I worked in Equinox, I worked in Cafe de Paris, I worked in So all the clubs in Leicester Square, and I worked all over there. So at the same time, the reason I joined this job was because my security company used to supply the security guards for the Premier League matches.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah, man. I mean, I'm going to get paid to
And
go and see the match. That would be wonderful. So my earliest memories of Highbury, and that's how I fell in love with Arsenal at that time. And in fact, the season of Invincibles, I was right there. Some of the matches I was there on the ground, but obviously on TV. So I became an Arsenal fan. So I fell in love with the game properly then, not even when playing for India, but when I went to England. At the time I left from here, the Punjab club called JCT Phagwara, which used to be doing well. And they had Baiching Bhutia, Carlton Chapman, and the best players, and they won the national title. And that was 1996 or 7, something like that. And I went to England in 1999, 98, 99, and I came back in 2002, 2001. So when I came back, there was no JCT. There was nothing. In fact, North India means Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Uttarakhand, and now Jharkhand did not even have one professional football club playing in any of the top leagues, second division, first division, or anything like that. So I thought that the boys and we had a lot of Punjabi boys and other boys going out and playing. They were good enough. But when I came back, I said, okay, let me see. So getting fit again, joining football again. At 33, I played the Santosh Trophy again. That means the senior nationals for Chandigarh.
Right. Okay.
And we did really well. Okay, we beat a couple of state teams, and we did. Chandigarh normally doesn't city, so it doesn't normally do well, but we did, and we reached the final rounds, for which Chandigarh was a very big thing. But so I saw the boys who were playing with me. They were good enough to compete with the best in the country. They just needed a platform. So I came back with this wild idea that let me start a football club, and let's see because I don't have any money, and that was true. That didn't have any money at all. And I wanted to do something for these boys, to give them a platform so they can go and play for bigger clubs, because they had it in them. I saw it. I was playing with them. And I saw that what I couldn't get when I was 18, these guys should get it. And I have a chance to do that. So we started this club called Minerva Academy Football Club in 2015, by the way. And we were a six-a-side football club. Within a year, we graduated from a six-a-side football club by telling our federation, the Chandigarh Football Association. So we asked for something in return for doing well in the senior nationals, that please organize your senior state championship. They had not done it for 14 years. So they did that. We won it. And the rest is history. We got into the second division being state champions. And we thought second division will be the best thing ever for us, because we'll get to play with Mohammedan Sporting, the oldest club in India, and all that stuff. But that was just the start. Not only we beat everybody, we were runners up. And just by the stroke of luck, Dempo withdrew in protest for the ISL and the entire thing happening. At that time, I was really happy. Now, if you had looked at it, I would have gone and supported them. But that time I was saying, wow, man, that's a great chance. So we got into the I-League. And the very first year of the I-League, my budget was 3.4 crores, because I listened to all the agents from being second division free, 3.4 crores, and a loss of over 2.4 crores, and taking a loan the very first year and being in debt. So the next year when we won the title, it was also a matter of necessity of controlling the budget, not only just a pragmatic decision of just because, we should do it this way. It was also because I didn't have any money. There was no money left. So he was either doing it on that money or shutting the club down. And because I did that, and I made sure that I didn't listen to agents and actually looked at all the videos myself, and we looked over 400 hours of video, we found 5 foreigners who had never played in India before. And I thought, okay, listen, the guys who are going to come from abroad, they know that they'll only get the next season with another club if they do really well. For a foreigner, it's not that you will get another club unless you do well, because they'll get some other foreigner otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know why Indian clubs don't understand that they take the same Ghisapeta foreigners which are keep on going from one club to the other. Because if he's not good for one club and they leave him, trust me, he's going to be good for another club. The difference between all the clubs is not much in India. So that really worked out. And those 5 guys, there was one boy from Bhutan, and he went for trials to Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, and nobody even let him enter the ground. Okay, you're from Bhutan, FO. And this boy came to me and he says, I'm the youngest ever scorer for Bhutan. I'm the captain of Bhutan. And I looked at his matches that Bhutan used to get thrashed by Japan 9-0, China 6-1, and sorry, 6-1, 7-1, 9-1. And there used to be that one goal used to always be scored by this Chencho. I said, listen, if he's good enough to score against Korea or Japan or China, and with the team he's playing with, the kind of support he has, with a good team, he will do wonders. And it was just that belief giving him the chance. And he did wonders for us. Same way with this goalkeeper who was the captain of Nepal. So, foreigner for India means, oh my God, you have to get a Gora. Okay, this Gora fascination is there in India. Or Kala. Okay, people are not even regarded. Whereas Indians are finding it really tough these days to beat Bangladesh, to beat Afghanistan. And trust me, Afghanistan's best player or Bangladesh's best player is equal to India's best player. That means Sunil Chetri or somebody like that. So don't take them in that way that they are from Bangladesh. It should only be what counts should be football. Same way in age, same way I believe in age. I don't believe 15 is too young to play in the senior league. And I don't believe 40 is too old to play in the senior league. And that's what we had. We had a 15-year-old boy playing this time, and we had a 40-year-old man playing this time. So it's about how good you are on the field.
Yeah, if you're good enough, you're old enough. Yeah, absolutely. But when you started and when you came back from England and had the big thought that I want to make a difference, if you could look back now, if you could talk to yourself then, would you say, yeah, go ahead, knowing what you had to go through, what you've been through?
See, there are some moments which football has given me, which each moment is worth me going through all the pain I've been through. Each of them. So, for example, let me give you an example. For example, I'm not talking about titles. See, titles, we won everything. We are a club from nowhere. We're known as the factory because there used to be Tata Football Academy and they produced over 60 players in 10 years. And we produced 162 in the last 5 years. And that means 50% of all teams starting from the age under 13 to the senior team have been produced by us. So that is... The titles is something which every club will win every year. That means there'll be a new champion every year. But when you produce players for your country and he goes and scores, the whole country celebrates with you. So India's first goal in the World Cup, Jackson Singh, Minervan, and it'll always be India's first goal in the World Cup. And it'll always be Jackson of Minerva Academy who's done that. So the feeling I got then was 10 times the feeling I got when I won the I-League title.
Really?
So when Anwar Ali scored for India against Argentina under 20 and we beat Argentina under 20, that feeling is got no comparison to what I won when I won under 13, under 15, under 18. In fact, we won the under 15 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I saw that I don't think legacy is built by winning championships. Legacy is getting your country onto the map. And the only way we can do that is getting us to the World Cup. And the whole way AIFF is working towards it is so fucked up. So sorry to use the language. But
no, I understand.
That's what it is. For example, they have the maximum planning they've done in their lives till now for our country is for 4 years. And they don't have a plan longer than that. Whereas I keep on telling them that Japan, in 1950, they had planned 50 years, 1970, another 50-year plan. So they have 50-year plans. That means the guys they are planning about are going to be their grandkids who are going to probably play, and they've not even been born yet. So why? Because a footballer doesn't start playing football at 12. That's when he gets to you. He needs to start playing at 4, 5. We start too late. And by the time our 11, 12 years come to our academies, we would teach them the basics because they've just been taught everything wrong. Why? Because the guys teaching them at the 5, 6 years old, not coaches. They're just people who are just teaching them whatever they want or not even teaching them anything. For example, the first time I got goalkeeping, I was a goalkeeper. Goalkeeping proper lessons from a coach was when I was already in the under 19 Indian team. I had never got lessons before that. It was all on just what I could do while looking at not even YouTube videos then. So just looking at others and practicing. That's it. So the aim was how do we get India to the World Cup? And not get to the World Cup because I don't like Indians always saying we need to participate. We shouldn't be going for participation certificates, man. We should be going for doing really, really well and dream big of getting into the final. Because unless you play of reaching the final, you never even reach the World Cup, if that's your aim. You got to dream big, work towards it. Even if you miss that aim, you'll be somewhere near the aim. But if your aim is just getting there, so the misconceptions are Indians don't have the genes. Then I tell them that only medals we win in Olympics or Commonwealth Games is in boxing or in wrestling or in weightlifting. So which G power and stamina genes are you talking about? Okay, you know, Indians can't do well in team games. Look what we are doing in hockey. And in fact, hockey, all the other countries which do well in this is a very strange stat. Who does well in hockey in Europe? Spain, England, Germany, and they Holland, Belgium, and they all do well in football. Same, Australia, South Korea, Japan, they all do well in football. So if they can do well in football and hockey, there's something wrong here. Then say, okay, not enough population is playing football. Bullshit, man. Iceland has a population of 3 lakhs. 3 lakh तुम्हारे दिवाली के मेले पे होते हैं यार. That's true. I mean, you have a Durga Puja, you have more than 3 lakh in the pandal.
It's true, yeah.
And then they say, no, you need a lot of money to win it. If that was true, then Brazil would have never won the World Cup. So see, all these things are wrong. What they need to do is stop trying to make your league that good, that you're going to produce a World Cup team, because that's not going to happen. Like China did it the wrong way. China had the most transfer record in the last 3 years.
They pumped huge amounts of money.
More than the entire European budget, man, of transfers. They had it. And they couldn't even beat India. They drew with India. So they're not even close to qualifying for the World Cup or being the top 4 in Asia. Look at Belgium. Belgium are number 1 in the world. Nobody even knows about their league. Nobody cares about their league. But their boys are playing in the best teams in the world. So you got to aim for your boys to be playing in the best teams in the world. You qualify for the World Cup. You will do well in the Asian Cup. You'll do well. So how do we get them there? Now, the reason is not that no matter how good you make your league, for example, if Sunil Chetri scores 20 goals or 50 goals in one season in the ISL, he's not going to be picked up by Man City or by Barcelona. Even if he scores 100, he's still not going to be picked up. But if my boy, who's been training with me from 5 to 10, so at the age of 10, he goes and plays against all Spanish under 10 sides, Barcelona, and he plays against all those Real Madrid and all those boys. At 11, he goes and plays against all the French teams. At 12, he goes and plays against all the German teams. 14, 13 England teams. So aim is that if he starts scoring against Barcelona and then next year Southampton and next year Bayern Munich, by the age of 14, he'll be picked up by a world-class academy. And then he has a chance of making it into the Premier League side. If you think you're actually going to make a transfer from a Mohan Bagan to a Real Madrid, it's never going to happen. They're investing money all on the top. And that's never good. It's going to, and that's what's been done since the beginning of football in India. Money has only gone to the top. And it's just talent which is coming out without any training. Because we don't need 1 Minerva, we need 100 Minervas if we need to do well. That means you need to have 100 residential academies which have a campus like this, which can give a choice of at least 1,000 kids. I mean, it's very strange that if I've given 160, probably in the last 5 years, I've had around 400. That means 1 in 2 of my students has made it in the Indian team. So it can't be that, that I am doing something so much different that they're making it. It's something that they're fucking up so badly. That's why this is.
That's an incredible insight into your views in terms of how we get there. And I totally get it from what you're saying. And I agree with it, actually, to be fair to you, that the pyramid is built from the bottom, not from the top upwards. So I understand that. And but what comes across with your passion and your love of the game and wanting India to do well is how did you get to the stage of building your academy to the level it is, where it's producing so many national players? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
So from day one, I took a very conscious decision that I don't want to be going and buying players from outside. I want to be producing my own players, even if it takes 3-4 years. So when I started, I being honest with you, even I had a 3-4 year plan because I didn't know if I'll last. But what I did was I spent 50% of my budget every single year on my academy. 50%. People do 5%, 7%, max 10%. 50% was there. And what that did was the very first year, we were runners up in the second division, but we were also the national under 15 champions the very first year. The very first year, we focused on the youth as much as then. The next year, we won the under 15s again when we were in the I League. We came ninth in the seniors, but we won the under 15s. The third year, we won the under 13, the under 15, the under 18, and the seniors.
Yeah.
1 year, we won everything.
Everything.
Next year, we won the under 15 again. So it was not an under 15, we're winning it 4 years in a row. That means it's not the same boys. You're getting new boys, new team time, and they're winning it. So I rank my junior titles higher than my I League title.
Wow.
Why? Because in the I League, you only play against I League clubs. In the junior leagues, you play against all ISL academies, I League clubs, academies, everything. So the kind of budget the ISL clubs were putting in, they were putting in 1 crore in one junior team. And they had AN Pro licenses even for their junior under 13 teams. Fighting against them and beating them was the biggest satisfaction, because showing that what we are doing is right and our development way is right. And then repeating it. See, me being the biggest critic of AIFF, it's not easy to do anything in India in football. So they make sure. So these 7 titles mean more. Why? Because it's in spite and despite of me being the biggest critic of AIFF. So they made sure I don't win it.
Do they get worried when you turn up to meetings?
Oh, trust me.
They must be waiting when they get the RSVP. Do you think Mr. Bajaj is going to come to this meeting?
They hate the sight of me, bro.
But one thing, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because like I said, I don't take much into reading articles unless there's quotes directly from you or, your Twitter feed. And I get that. But this is the first time I've spoken to you, and I get it. I don't know if you understand when I say I get it, where you're coming from and what your theories are around how to get to the level we think India deserves to be. Do you think sometimes, because you've got this much passion, this much commitment, that you're perceived, or you don't care about how you're perceived? Because,
See, the point is, I know, when I know I'm going to be standing up for the truth, then I have a different kind of confidence. And I have a track record that I have never, ever till now been proven wrong. That means if I've said something, it's never been false. I've never been lying about it. And it's always come from a place which has got nothing to do with personal profit, ever. So the reason I was in it.
Well, this is what I was, beg your pardon for interrupting, but you can tell nobody goes into football and makes the commitment you have through your academy to make money.
Exactly. So I think people understand that and they know that. But you got all these bots. For the people who I'm speaking against, they're very powerful. And they have got, for example, Reliance and FSDL. Now, this is the very strange thing that our country doesn't, these big clubs who are investing crores and crores don't understand that they're going to get screwed. Why? Because forget about, even if you want to see franchise-based clubs, look at MLS, okay? Let them do that. Or look at all other leagues. The maximum money a league gets is from the broadcaster, which is shared then from the clubs. That's how clubs do well. Maximum money is there. So in India, the broadcaster owns the league. Star Sports owns 35% of the league. The rest is owned by 65% by FSDL. So all the decisions which are going to be made from a very commercial point of view for the benefits of the broadcaster and the body which owns that thing, not for the good of football ever. So India is going to be the only country where the top league of the country is going to be owned by a private company, by one person.
Federation.
Not the federation. So federation has no control over our top league, which is, I find it really, really strange. And that's why the number of conflicts of interest which are there on a daily basis in the ISL are so many. For example, they don't let the coach, Indian national coach, select boys from outside the ISL. So now let's see what you're giving him to select. Each team can play 5 Indians and forget the goalkeeper, 5 Indians, 5 foreigners. So you've got 10 teams, you've got 50 Indians he can choose from. The ones who got game time will be selected, obviously. So 50 Indians. And he calls 35 of them for the national camp. I mean, what kind of choice? I mean, you keep on saying, oh my God, 1.5 billion can't produce a team. No, 50 people can't produce a good team. That's what's happening. They're not giving everyone a chance. But see, if it was a different thing in preseason or in Super Cup, I-League teams would get thrashed by the ISL clubs 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. There's a class difference. But there is not. The kind of Indians who are playing in I-League are equal to the Indians playing there, because what, they're 100 Indians, man. There's not much of a difference there. And you have to give the coach at least, forget 100, if you give him a choice of at least 1,000 Indians to choose from. And that can only happen when there are 20 teams. See, they say we want to compete with Iran or South Korea or Japan. You can't compete with those countries unless you play as much football minimum as they play. Footballers play 46 matches, 45 matches a year. You play 20 matches a year. So how are you going to compete with them? And then they say, we can't do that. There are not enough clubs. They are. You're trying to kill the other league. So this is the first time I've seen the federation is trying to kill its own baby in trying to promote somebody else's baby, who they have no control over. So they don't understand. See, for example, what IPL is doing for Indian cricket is brilliant. Why? Because all the money is being earned by BCCI. And they're not body who can put it in his pocket. Who have to invest it back in the game. For example, in Mullapur, which is right next to Mohali, and in every district ground has a super stopper, which costs 2 crore rupees. Because every district gets a grant of 5 crores a year. Because that's 5,000 crores is being distributed among. And so earlier there used to be questions, where are we going to get the next Sachin Tendulkar? No one asks that anymore. No one is asking where we're going to get the next Virat Kohli. Why? Because there are hundreds.
It's something I do a weekly IPL show, and the number of young Indian talent. And I was just saying, yes, on this week's show that we are talking more about our young Indian talent compared to 3-4 years ago when we were talking about the big foreign sign.
Exactly. For example, I don't know if you know this, I also have a cricket academy.
Oh, all right. Okay.
In fact, I was into cricket from 2005, 2003, 2005. And I was also playing under 19 state for Punjab and all the stuff. I was into cricket. But I was with the BCCI and the PCA. And I did 21 one-days and 7 test matches as the manager of the Indian senior cricket team.
Right.
And I've served under 3 different captains and I was the youngest ever manager. I was the manager at 21 and at 24, 27, 28. I've served under Azharuddin, Tendulkar and Ganguly. And now then I have a cricket academy. Our cricket club, plays in all the big tournaments against, so these corporate tournaments like Reliance Mumbai is known as Reliance in the corporate world, in the corporate tournaments. The CSK is known as India Cements. So these come as these teams, same teams come. So we are Minerva Academy, and we play in the same tournaments where Reliance plays. So the kind of boys, this year we've got 14 boys playing in the IPL. I don't know if you know that. Shubman Gill is a boy who's been playing for my club since the age of 15. See, that's what I'm saying. Cricket does not need support in this country. That's why.
Also, I was going to say, cricket has laid the template, like you said earlier. The BCCI has created the template for the federation to follow.
In football, why? Because the money is not going to go to AIFF. It's going to go to a private company. So if they earn 50,000 crores after 10 years from Indian football, they are not going to be liable to put 50,000 in. They might just put 5,000 and keep 45,000.
I mean,
they're not. Bottom line is not going to be for Indian development, for Indian football ever. And that's always in the corporate, when you commercialize something, and then your aims become different totally.
Just playing the devil's advocate, just for the sake of it. You know, when the ISL was created, and we know the federation till then had hardly done anything. Yes, they'd created National Football League, turned it into the I-League, but they weren't investing in it to promote it, to build it up. So when the FSDL Reliance came in, do you think there was an alternative? Because there was no money coming into the sport.
There was no alternative, but they shouldn't have sold it to them. For example, the league should have always belonged to AIFF. My problem, the league doesn't belong to them anymore. And okay, when it doesn't belong to them, then you can't make it the top league of the country, which from where you qualify for the Champions League or for the AFC Cup. Because how can the IPL be owned by a private company? The same way ISL should not be owned by a private company. As long this was inevitable, it had to be done. ISL coming in, being honest with you, has changed the professionalism level in India, which was kind of amateurish earlier on, and it's made it professional. For example, the standards of infrastructure, and the TV coverage we get, everything else we get is comparable to the Premier League. I'm not talking about the football level. I'm talking about everything around
The
it.
coverage, yeah.
Premier League. Great. But if they had done the same thing by including the 10 I-League clubs, they had a ready-made product given from year one. So suppose they said, okay, these 10 franchises plus these 10 I-League clubs, including Mohun Bagan and East Bengal, which they've been fighting to get for the last 5 years. And imagine they would have had the support of the entire country. What they tried to do was sneak it in. So Praful Patel, 5 years ago, said, this is going to be a 40-day tournament and I-League is going to be the top league of the country. And I've got a video which I keep on retweeting, and I said it clearly. And at that time, he knew it's not the case, because he had signed a contract 5 years before that saying the opposite, that ISL is going to be the top league. So he was misleading the public, which is the thing I was fighting for. So if he had just told us that this is the way to go, okay, even if he had said, okay, you guys are going to be second division, and I've been saying it again and again, you put us in second division, but have promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
Yes, see, you can't say that you're not rich enough to play in the top league. Football is a game of merit. Okay, so the Leicester could have never happened. Greece could have never happened. FC Porto could have never happened if it's all about money. You can't do this. You can't say that you're not rich enough to play in my league, even if you're good enough. For example, I played 4 matches against Bangalore, and I have beaten them on 3 occasions and lost on 1 occasion. So what does that prove?
Yeah, and it's not about the.
For me, it's all the I-League clubs with all the ISL clubs. They've had very, very decent scores. So if you imagine if they had done that and put all of us together, this league would have been 10 years ahead of where it's going to be now. And promotion and relegation. Now, what happens now? How it's affecting the Indian team? Yes, the number one, half the number of people are there for selection. But now the people playing in the ISL, they don't have any guts. They don't have any balls. Why? Because they can't handle pressure. You'll see in Indian international tournaments, India will do very well in all. Doesn't matter, you play against any country, we'll do well in the first match. Second match, third match, we get screwed. Why? They can't handle the pressure, because there is no relegation, there is no promotion. Top 3 clubs keep on fighting for the titles. After the first 5 matches, you have to see the standard of football, what happens in the ISL. They just don't want to get injured because they know nothing's going to happen.
Again, playing the devil's advocate here, and I totally agree that you can't have a franchise-based no relegation, because that's not what I'm used to, and I find it really unusual. Yeah, I get the American examples where they are in that system for all of their sports.
Clubs there. In the MLS, you've got enough clubs. They're getting 25 matches. You can't say 10 clubs, and because there are not enough other rich people to come and join in, we'll wait for rich people to come and join in 2 by a year. So after maybe 10 years, we'll have 20 clubs. That means for 10 years, there'll be no Indian football development. Unless there's promotion and relegation, you have to see. All the clubs in the ISL are very big clubs. So what are they? They are buying clubs or selling clubs? They're all buying clubs. Who are they going to buy from? Who's going to produce these players? That's going to be the clubs like us. So unless we're playing in the same league as them, those players which they buy from us are not going to be as good to play there. So by doing this and having only buying clubs and big clubs, suppose you have 10 big clubs, they've all got the money to buy. Nobody will be wanting to produce their players. So you have to have a system where you have small clubs and big clubs, and that's why a league does well. Because that's how players become better and better and go higher and higher.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And can I be honest with you and say, I'm surprised I'm agreeing with you so much? Because, like I said, I don't believe in what I've read or whatever, but, to get the full picture and full outlook that you have.
Yeah, you got to talk to the person, bro.
No, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I said that from the get-go. I don't buy into that. That's why it's so good to speak to you. And it just seems that sometimes, well, this is me as a person, but maybe others as well, would have given up. But you just, you take the punches, you take the brickbats, and you what you believe in. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to put my neck on the line here, and I agree with what your sentiments are in terms of how to build football and the sport in India. You need a bigger club, a bigger season, more players, more Indian players to give that competition and selection for a national team.
The main thing is exposure. So for them, exposure is that suppose the AFC Cup is coming up or the Under-15 Cup is coming up, 17 World Cup is coming up. Okay, what's your budget? You got a 20 crore budget. Okay, let's do a foreign tour with 20 countries. So they send them for 6 months for 20 countries. That's not exposure. Exposure is sending them every single year to one country. Good enough. But every single year. You can't get that experience just because you send them together for 20 countries. So they're...
Again, you've got the template with the BCCI who sends the 18.
Understand. Now, if they want to make their product better, that means the top league of the country, which they say it's our product and we're going to make it to world class. It's only going to become world class when the football level becomes world class. And that's only going to happen when you start producing better players. So it's a very big vicious circle. They have to understand for their, see, the value of Mumbai City is not going to cross the value of Man City unless the players of Mumbai City are as good as the players of Man City. And how's that going to happen? That's only going to happen when you spend money on the bloody grassroots development and juniors.
How do you rate some of these ISL academies?
I think they're crap. Why? Because till last year, I'll tell you, except Bengaluru, who have been doing a good job again, because they have an entire city called Bellary, which is a sports city. So they have, again, a residential place, so the whole year round. And Jamshedpur, why? Because they used to be Tata Football Academy. But sadly, Jamshedpur has not produced any international players since the time Tata Football Academy has not produced any international players since the time Jamshedpur became an ISL club. That means all the budget was basically taken away from TFA and given to Jamshedpur, the ISL club. And now they're not even doing well in the ISL or in the junior leagues. They don't even qualify for the main rounds. So unless you have residential academies where players are training on a daily basis and not called 2 months before the tournament so that they can fulfill the accreditation process. Right now, it's just a tick mark in the accreditation process. And see, the Indian law, Indian rule for AIFF is now that you have to play 2 developmental players. Again, now see, such a big paradox. What do you mean by developmental players? Players developed by who? By yourself. You can't buy players from outside and say that they're my developmental players. So then you don't let them, those same players, if they had played against you for 2 years and you buy them, they would be of a better standard. If they're playing in a league lower than you and you buy it from that league, it'll take them 2 years just to adjust to your league standard. So developmental players, if they make it a compulsory rule that every ISL team has to have 2 players in their team starting right, that they have to be producing from your own academy, that they will spend at least 10% of their budget and look at our developmental, you will see our development go up like this. Why? Because you made it compulsory. Right now, I believe the Indian women can actually make the World Cup faster than the men.
Yeah, I believe that.
The Indian women are beating countries like Afghanistan and Sri Lanka and Pakistan 7-0, thrashing them the way we should be. And they're competing, they're 7-8 in Asia, so they have a chance. And we're not spending any money on them at all. So this year they came out with this that, every team should have a women's team. But they didn't make it compulsory. And that's that's again, see, an eyewash. Because that's the way it was. It wasn't compulsory earlier also. And now also it's not compulsory. So what's the change? Unless you make it compulsory for every ISL club or I-League club to have a women's team and make them have a full season, Indian women's football is not going to develop. And you're having the Under-17 World Cup here. You don't even have Under-17 club teams. So how are you expecting to do well in that World Cup? If the only way you're happy in qualifying every time for these World Cups is by hosting the event, study the World Cup and probably get thrashed at home.
You don't have to answer this because you might be, too much.
I'm answering everything. I'm like,
no. It's sometimes it's business related, but you mentioned the fact that ISL clubs are taking development players from academies such as yourself, counting as their own development players. When you sell those players, do you generate enough income, or do you have forward clauses in their contracts as they progress? You can get a percentage.
See, people didn't realize. Now they understand. But at the time when I was investing 50% of my budget into the juniors, it was because it was going to be a revenue stream in 3 different ways for me. One, some of those players were going to be a part of my senior team. So my budget was going to be much less. Second, some of them were going to give me exposure on the social media by playing for India, and I'll get sponsors because of that. Third, I'll be able to sell those players later. So they used to be getting 25. I was the only Indian club, by the way, to get this. 25 to 30% of my budget was coming from selling my players every year. And I was one of the biggest sellers. And I used to sell my biggest stars. Why? Because even if I have a contract with a player for 5 years, he knows with me that the moment he gets a better offer, I'll let him go. The whole reason for me being here is to make them go ahead and not be winning titles, because I've done that. I've been there. The whole point is get India better. So, for example, Jackson Singh was sold for 30 lakhs. Anwar Ali, 30 lakhs. Nong, 20 lakhs. So imagine, and these three players were sold together. So 80 lakhs I made from here, and my entire budget that year was probably 2.2. So I made almost 40% of my budget just from the sale of these players. Now, to why I picked up the Apollo sponsorship, we were the only club in India in the I-League to have picked up a 5-year deal from Apollo Tyres. Why? Because Jackson Singh scored in the World Cup, and the owner of Apollo, who was in London, Kanwar, he saw that goal, and somebody tweeted to him that why don't you sponsor this academy, because they are looking for funds. And he said, let's go ahead with it. And that's from that is where, so it's my junior boys who got me the sponsorship, not my senior boys. And then next year we won the I-League champion. So we were not the I-League champion before we got the sponsorship. So it was, we came 9th and we got the sponsorship. So it was a way to prove to everybody that if you have this model and you have it, it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for people of that area. I mean, the entire North area knows that they don't have to go far. If they're good enough, you will get a platform and you will make it. And 50% of our players, when they don't have a local club, they take up some other sport or take up a job.
I mean, Mr. Bajaj, I could go on talking to you for ages, and we've just spoken about something that I could carry on talking about you, because I wanted to talk to you about the roadmap, what you think of it. But if you were to say in a few words, I know what you think, that the long-term planning isn't there, the infrastructure at the moment isn't there. What do you think of the roadmap that supposedly the I-League, the ISL have come together to put together?
See, the roadmap is great if they follow it.
Okay. You've got doubts?
Yes, I do. I have serious doubts because what they did this year. So somehow, with technicalities, the winner of I-League didn't get the AFC spot. So all 3 spots with technicalities have gone to the ISL, the AFC Cup, the AFC Champions League, and the AFC qualifiers, which was supposed to come to us. Then, now with Mohun Bagan and East Bengal going there, the actual commercial sense of getting an I-League club for them makes no sense at all. So if you actually look at it commercially, and all their decisions have been based only on commercials, that's why I'm scared. That maybe they change. What if they change their mind after 3 years? Because now, by the way, they are such powerful people involved that they control not only AFF, they control AFC, FIFA. I mean, Qatar got the World Cup, man. Come on. So.
Yeah, let's not open that can of worms. That's even even for my show, that might kill it. But in terms of yourself and your passion, that has absolutely come across. As an owner, how difficult is it to stay away from the nitty-gritty of the first team? Because you're so passionate about so many things. I don't know how you spread your time, because you want your academy to work, you want your senior team, and then obviously when your senior team players.
I was a very accidental owner. All this happened very fast without any planning. The entire journey, even though it's been great and to the top very fast, but it's been very accidental starting. I was a football player, and overnight playing Santosh Trophy became a club owner, 2nd division, and we were there. So I didn't even know when I stopped playing and I became a club owner. That's why the connect with my players is something, that's why I'm always the manager in the team, and I love setting up ice baths for them, love putting the shoes out, love doing all that, because I consider myself still a player. I don't see myself as an owner. And that's why I always take up young coaches and not take up established coaches. I take up young Indian coaches, because we got to make sure that unless we have Indian coaches who get game time, India is not going to go far. You can't see the moment you can get a Gora for your club side, okay, because half the people are foreigners, and probably the foreigners are the ones who need to be more man-managed. But for an Indian side, unless you get a good Indian, you see what, they don't give enough time. For probably if Igor Stimac is going to be here for a year, after next year, he's going to be another coach and then another coach. If you've got to get a foreigner, you've got to give him time. because it's going to take him 1 year just to get into the heads of the Indians.
Get used to it, yeah.
Open up to anyone normally, especially the players. So I believe that, I believe that if moment we get into the Pandora's box of having an ego with the ISL and I-League, which I realized we are doing a disservice to Indian football. See, I don't want to be fighting the battle which is against ISL. I'm not against ISL. I am for Indian football. So and it's not about my club, even I told them from the very beginning, you have 3 divisions, have 4 divisions, put us in the 4th division, but have promotion and relegation. So that club starting football right now has a dream of getting there one day. So unless you have, your state leagues need to be as good as 4th divisions, because they are going to be getting the teams into the 3rd division and 2nd and the 1st division. So you got to promote, there's 20 states in India out of 29 which don't have a state league, including Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh population is more than Brazil. See the number.
I didn't know it didn't have a state league until you just told me.
They don't have a state league. They don't have a senior state league. Forget about juniors. Senior state league they don't have.
Wow.
There's never a professional football club from Uttar Pradesh. So 30 crore people without a club. Uttarakhand, Himachal, and Haryana. So
where does the buck stop with that? Is it states or the federation, national federation?
Because what the federation has done, unfortunately, have put their cronies, the ones who will vote for them next time. So they don't care if they develop football. There are no standards which they have kept. So it's their guy. So next time in the votes, he'll make sure he comes and votes for you and you're president and the secretary again. And that's what's been happening in all sports in India. And the moment it didn't happen in BCCI and they took the actual approach, it started changing. So unless the sports is actually run by sportsmen, and the ones who also got admin knowledge, not just sportsmen, sportsmen who have admin knowledge, we will never do well. We'll never be there.
Yeah, as an outsider, like I said, passionate about India and Indian sports, this is one thing that surprises me, that there has to be a politician at the head of each federation. And the reasoning sometimes there is that you need a politician for his influence.
You want to get the World Cups, but see how much you want to develop your country by getting a under-17 World Cup, unless you follow up on those boys. Now, those boys were given foreign tours then. After the World Cup ended, nobody talked about them. They got into I-League clubs. In fact, they should have been given more foreign tours. Why? Because most of them are going to be in the Indian national team. And if you develop players from 17 to 21, they would have become something. So you develop them for 1 year just because you want to showpiece them in the World Cup. And that's what's happening for the girls. The under-17 girls were picked up this year, 6 months before the World Cup. Before that, no one even knew them. They had not even played a state league. So that's not how, and what happens is the entire budget we get for football is spent in these showcase events. Whereas instead of spending that budget in development.
Yeah.
And why? Because it's commercial interests. And they want to be in front of the Prime Minister next, doesn't matter. So they see, football is a way that no matter, or all sports associations are a way that even if you're in power or not in power, you will be in some page of the newspaper next to one of the most important people. Simple.
Two very, one serious in the sense that you mentioned him a couple of times was Anwar Ali. Really sad that he's having to take, I don't know if you know any insights, but I just read about it just the other day by chance, that there's a player that's been advised he can't play but wants to play.
17 World Cup stars from my academy.
Yeah.
He played all the matches for India.
How is the young man?
He's fine. He's back with me in the academy. In fact, he's back with me now. Because his club didn't, so the court ruled in our favor that it's on the club and the boys' decision to make. But the club got into AIFF's thing and sent him back. Now we've got a meeting with the AIFF online with their medical committee. And probably you'll hear great news because I've got some proof from Premier Leagues abroad, from European leagues, where the same kind of people with worse conditions, the same Hockham condition, have been allowed to play. And the main thing was that in India, there's no medical screening for professional players, which is recommended by FIFA every single year. You have to get a screening every year. So they don't do it. So this was just by chance. So that's why he's the first Indian ever to have been banned. There's a guy called Anwar Ali Senior who played for my team, who's played for India. And he had a heart attack when in 2016. and there was no medical committee formed. And after that, he started playing again, and he's still playing. Same way with Dipitu Biswas, who's now with Mohammedan Sporting as a secretary. He went and played for Mohun Bagan and played 250 matches, 250 goals he scored for Mohun Bagan after being diagnosed, had a career of 15 years. So you can't have a blanket ban, and you have to actually go into the person's medical condition and take him to the best sports cardiologist. You can't take him to a normal cardiologist and say whether he's okay. That guy should have at least seen 100 conditions like him in sportsmen, because apparently the condition he has is also known as the athlete's heart. That if you strain from a very young age, you get a left ventricle, which does not always result in SCD, which is sudden cardiac arrest. So the whole point is getting the right medical opinion. Obviously, we want him safe. But the point is, if other people are being allowed with this condition to play, that means if Europe is allowing, then I don't think there should be a problem with AIFF to be allowing him to play.
Well, when I was just going to say, when I read about his story, I really felt sorry for the young man, but I wasn't aware that you were also supporting him. But that is incredible.
I brought him from a place he used to live next to a railway line, and his father and he used to graze cattle. His mother and sister still go outside to relieve themselves. They don't even have a proper bathroom. So this was his way out of money. So he's been playing now in my academy for 7 years, and he played for 1 year in the Indian Arrow. And then after that, this was going to be his first year in the ISL, going to be making serious money, and this happened. That was, it's like the worst thing for him. He says, I mean, I can't stop because he's not educated. And he can't become a coach. They keep on saying, make him a coach. He can't become a coach. He says, I'll play Cape matches in Calcutta, bet matches where you get 1,000 rupees an hour. So if you do that, the chances of him dying there are sometimes higher. And he's not going to stop because he can't go to an alternate career because there is nothing for him. Because for 8 years, he's been playing for India, by the way, from under 13 till now, under 22, he's been playing for India. And if they had actually educated him, because he wasn't with me, when he's in the India camps, he's always there. So if they had educated him while making him play for India, then asking him to take up coaching is a different thing. But keeping him with you for 8 years and making him play football with no education and then saying, be a coach.
Well, to be honest, fair play to you and kudos to you for backing him and supporting him in this tough time, because that's the time when you know who your friends and mentors are. So that's incredible what you're doing.
You'll always have my support. He's my boy.
But also the big question for me was, and it's just that question's being reinforced now, is that with so much passion, so much commitment, so much love for the game, why did you walk away? Well, not walk away from your baby, which is Minara.
It was very easy. Why was it very? It was very easy. See, when I had already decided, and I had decided about this World Cup 2034 batch 1.5 years ago, because I selected the boys, and the boys were already in the academy, who were 5, 6, and 7 from all over India. So the focus of my quest changed. It was getting India to the World Cup. Now, second thing was, I had taken Minerva Punjab as far as I could have taken them. Because for getting into the ISL, apparently, you needed to have lots and lots of money, which I did not. Simple as that. So even if I would have won the I-League, which I did, I would have still been playing in the same league. But if I got relegated, I go down to the 3rd division. Okay, that's a very strange. Go up, just go down. So this guy who's from California and from Punjab, software engineer, he came back to me. He says, I want to give back to Punjab, and I want to make sure Punjab FC reaches the top level. And he showed me a plan which he's already started implementing, and it was true. He was going to invest 455 crores, and that's a huge amount, which no ISL club has invested till today on just the grounds and the development and the facility. So if we have that kind of facility which he's talking about, and we're actually on it, Punjab will have probably the best facility in the whole country. And why? Because they wanted a platform for their under 13, 15, 18 teams to go on to. And I had no problem, because all I had to sell was the name Punjab FC. And I knew that if I want to get there again, I'll get there. Being honest with you, I don't want to be in the I-League now. Being no Mohun Bagan, no East Bengal. So guaranteed the broadcast will be even worse. There'll be no sponsors. There'll be no TRPs. This year as it is, and next year there'll be no crowds. So the point of playing in the I-League becomes very pointless. Whereas if somebody is going to be even taking it further, I mean, see, we have babies and we educate them and then we let them go and say, become better. We don't hold on to them because we love them so much.
It's not an easy decision.
No, see, if I was going to stop, now I have my challenge to show the whole world it's not a fluke. I didn't just make it and win the state league, second division, and I league like that. I'm going to show them again. I've got a new journey with a new club from Himachal, which has never had a professional club, and a new club from Delhi, which I bought both of them, Delhi FC. So you didn't know that, right?
No,
So Delhi,
I spoke to the group that you're working with at Delhi. I spoke to them about the Dynamos and their supporters club, and they told me about Delhi FC.
Exactly. So they were the fans of Delhi Dynamos, and now ultras. Okay, and they've converted. Imagine I've converted ultras, man.
The incredible bunch of people.
Yeah, great, brilliant, man. And
but
I love
to have your backing. That's awesome.
Yes, and they have my backing because they're part of the management now. I said I want this to be a fan-based club, so you're going to be part of every decision you make. So you're never going to feel that this club is not your club. So they are now working for me there, and they are now, and every day they come up with something which is so brilliant because I would have never thought it because they belong to the city. And that's how
I was so impressed by what they were sharing in terms of their social platform, their commitment to the community. And for me as an outsider, I couldn't believe our capital city doesn't have a professional football team. But then you told me about Northern India not having one.
People are asking for the next Sunil Chetri. The Sunil Chetri for the first time was spotted in the Delhi Senior League. And the league is almost non-existent right now. So that's why Delhi FC and Himachal. With Himachal, I plan to work on the women's team. In Delhi FC, to do win the senior state division, get into the second division, win the second division, get into the I League. So the aim is to get into the I League by 2024-25, when they promise there's going to be promotion relegation without paying them anything. So the whole plan is in the next 3 years, I get there when it's time to get promoted, not before.
Fantastic.
Another thing, I'll tell you why I think ISL is always never going to think for the country and is always going to think for itself. Because the way they were selfish in letting 7 foreigners play. They have destroyed Indian football. Why? See, when you have 7 foreigners in a team, the entire core is meant for foreigners. That means the 2 centre-backs, 2 midfielders, 2 strikers. The only place you have left for is the wingers and the right back, left backs, and probably a midfielder. That's what's happening in Indian football.
And then they ask the question, why can't we score goals?
Where's the next Sunil Chetri going to come from?
Never
going to come because you never give him game time. Manveer Singh, who's supposed to be the next striker after India, Sunil Chetri, the level is this much difference. But he used to be with me in my second division team. The amount of game time he got with me in second division as an 18-year-old, that's the amount of game time he's got for the next 4 years in FC Goa. And then when they play him for 14 minutes in a match and then they expect him to go and score for India and be the next Sunil Chetri, it's not going to happen. So you have to follow the 3+1 rule, which the entire Asian community is following. That means AFC. 3 foreigners plus 1 Asian, because that makes sure that either you'll have 2 centre-backs and then you'll have a space for a striker, or if you have 1 foreign centre-back, then you'll have a space for a 1 centre-back. Nowadays, can you believe it? When Indians come to me earlier, 5 years ago, 70% wanted to become strikers. Why? Because they're the biggest stars. I would say 1 in 10 now want to ever come up and appear as a striker, because they know even if I'm the best, I'll never get a chance. What's the point?
They won't get the game time. Yeah, absolutely. But that also applies, which is something new to me as well, that Indian coaches don't have the badge or the qualification to become a ISL.
That was again, 2 years ago, I tweeted that how can ISL be racist towards Indians in India? So you're being racist towards Indians in India. The rule was 2 years ago that an Indian, even if he has the same qualifications as a foreign coach, he cannot be the head coach. And that was bloody racist. And I tweeted about it. And now, last year they came up with this rule. Okay, now Indians can be head coaches, but they need 2 years of experience under a head coach of an ISL team before that. So they made sure at least for the next 2 years, we don't have an Indian head coach. Even if he has the same qualifications. We have 10 pro licenses who are now working as assistants to the foreign coaches.
I don't get that rule. It goes back to what you said earlier. You can have 1 million players, but you need just as many coaches, good coaches, to bring them forward. I agree with that.
This is my other question. AIFF is trying to earn money from coaches. Their way of earning money is by making coaching licenses so fucking expensive, then it's impossible to get. That means a D license cost around 30 grand to get, but the salary for a D license is 15 grand. So for a C license, you require 60 grand, salary is the 30 grand. For a B license, you require 1,20,000, but the salary is not more than 60. For an A license, you require 3 lakhs and the salary is not more than 70, 80,000. So how do you expect somebody of that license to get the next license if his salary he has to save for 3 months just to take an exam of that license?
Exam, yeah. I had conversations with Coach Pinto about this, and he shared the journey. It's very, very hard.
What did Belgium do? Belgium made licenses so bloody easy to get and so cheap that even their gym teachers had one. They produced 5,000 B licenses in 3 years. And because of them producing 5,000 licenses, within 10 years, they're number one. In India, we have not more than 500 B licenses. Forget about, and Belgium has 5,000. Japan has 30,000 B licenses. And we expect with the coaches we have to get there, it's not going to happen. So what did I do? I tweeted 3 months ago, the same time when I made this offer, I tweeted to AIFF, I'm willing to do coaching licenses for free here. Come take the offer up for all A and B licenses, because I've got classrooms, grounds, khana, pina, rehna, that means food, stay, everything will be taken care of and it will be sponsored by me. Make sure you don't charge more than 5,000 rupees for an A license or a B license and come and start producing them by the dozens here. And imagine how accessible you'll make it. Wow. They didn't take, because that's the way they earn money.
You're giving me such an insight. So, I knew some of it, I'd heard about some of it, but not to this extent. Like I said, I could talk to you every single week and learn more and more. But I learned so much today. But also, you gave me an insight before we started recording about the amazing work that's been happening in the past few days in the camps. Tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
In our camps?
Yeah. You've been having recruitment days.
Yeah, we're having trials for the Delhi FC team. We are the first probably club in India who's having trials right now. We did it in Delhi. We had an amazing response. We've shortlisted 5 boys from Delhi out of 500. We had 400 here. We shortlisted 4 from here. Now we're going to Calcutta in 5 different venues. We're doing it there. Then when Manipur government allows, then we're going to be going to Manipur and doing that. So we are making sure that we go even for a state level team, which is always the aim is going to be for the 2nd division. So the team I'm creating is going to be for the 2nd division, and we are going all over and getting all the people who've not been able to get a platform to get here. So that's why we're getting an amazing, and we are making sure, what we are showing people is that if you have Google Forms, you give each person a time, you make leeway for being late, do everything, and you call people in batches of 20 for every 2 hours. You can even take 200 in the whole day, and you can do it, and it's been done successfully. So you have to have social distancing. You have to start living. You can't just stop it, because some of these boys probably will get an income from here and run their family, or it's a difference of them doing some petty work and earning day to day.
Yeah, no, it's amazing what you're doing, and the response just shows the interest in the sport we have. They just need backing, and it's a good job we've got you as well there, giving them that. What are your plans for the ladies team in Himachal long term?
So they're just going to announce when the league is. So once they've announced their plans, that means for the season, they announce the season plans in the beginning of season. 3 months before the league, we're going to be starting our trials, and we'll be selecting the Himachal already were the under 17 girls champions this year. And they had girls from Himachal and Haryana. So those girls are definitely going to come on, because we want to be giving all the local girls a chance, and they're due. Fantastic. And then a few girls from Punjab and from Chandigarh and from Delhi we're going to include. And a lot of girls from Northeast who want to come on board as well. So it's going to be a solid team, and hopefully we'll be playing in the Indian Women's League by next year.
Oh, wow. That soon?
Yeah. I mean, because State League is going to be there, and we hope to win it. So and if we are winning in the Women's League.
Yeah, absolutely. And is the plan that the academy in Chandigarh will be supporting both Delhi and Himachal, or
because of this campus we have here, we can't replicate this facility anywhere.
Yeah. It's not cheap.
So the main teams will always be living here and training here, and we'll be running our main camps, the paid camps in those facilities in the other cities.
Wow, that is amazing. And the fact that you're doing not only incredible work for Delhi and the future of Delhi football, and like I said, I've spoken to the guys there and they're amazing guys. And to have you as their backing, that is, I can only see that club being the ISL if they stick to the plan of promotion and relegation.
Stand by.
And also the amazing work with the Himachal. I was not aware of that work at all, but thank you so much for sharing that with us.
This initiative now 3 weeks ago, a month, 15th of August, we launched it. And yesterday, in fact, all the membership cards have gone out. The Association of Football Clubs and Academies in India. We had a Players Association, which is associated to FIFA Pro. Then we have AIFC, which is the All India Football Coaches Association. But the people who employ these two people, there was no real association for them. And that's what we've come up with. The response I've got is amazing. We already have 250 clubs and academies who are members. That's more than the clubs and academies who are affiliated to the AIFF. This is not meant for ISL or I-League clubs. Yes, we've got two I-League clubs, Gokulam and Chennai, and both of the owners are really good friends of mine, so they are members. It's meant actually for the grassroots clubs and academies who don't know who to turn to. For example, you're a grassroots academy in Manipur in a small village, and you don't have a social media page. So you contact us, we make a social media page for you. We make your logo for you. They want to apply for the accreditation, we do it for you. And then they want to actually make a ground. So we tell them what grass to use, where to get that for free.
Oh, wow.
And then they say, okay, we don't have a licensed coach. We want A license lessons. So we get our A license coach to record lessons, send it to them. So they just have to copy those lessons and they're being trained by an A license coach right there. So anything they need, but for free. So that money should not stop them growing. Again, development will only happen when the football, even if it's a Messi or if it's a Ronaldo, when you're 5 or 6, you will go to the nearest academy you have. Okay, what India does is, for getting trials, they go to the capitals of the country. And then you expect the best boys. Suppose you're an 11-year-old. I, as an 11-year-old, even though I'm from a good family, middle class, good family, I didn't have 100 rupees also on me. But it costs to get to the capital 500, to go back 500, and then they have trial fees of 500. So no 11-year-old will ever spend that money. So you are basically saying you are selecting all your junior best boys from the capitals. And those academies at the bottom level are not being able to given a chance to succeed. So making sure AFSI, we've even got a volunteer section. So basically we've got 50 graphic designers who are volunteers. So they are interns. So what they do is, club comes to us and say, we have no social media. We hand it over to him. He makes it for them. He makes it grow. And then when he goes to an ISL club, they ask him, what is your experience or body of work, which nobody has. And he has a body of work and experience to show, look, from zero, I got 5,000 followers, engagement. I've done all this. This is my body of work. The same thing. So it's a win-win for everyone. We're getting the right people in touch for the right people.
Well, Mr. Bajaj, I know it's very late there. I don't know how I'm going to thank you for allowing me this much time to share with you and talking to you. Just one little thing. I don't know if you gave yourself this tag or was it the media, the rebellious one?
Oh, this is the media.
If it was you, please continue to be rebellious. I think it's the passion and the commitment and your love for the game. It came across to me today. Your thoughts on how it should be developed, I agree with. I think that's the way to go. And it might sometimes feel to you that you're a lone person fighting there, but I'm going to put my neck on the line and say you've got a supporter for what it's worth here in Leicester, and keep fighting. And
a lot, bro. It means a lot, especially sitting all the way in Leicester. You know about my story. You know about the work we're doing. That means it's making a difference. So.
I hope we can keep in touch because I want to continue learning about the incredible work you're doing. And
I will be angry if we don't. So we have to keep in touch. In fact, it'll be a pleasure and we can keep doing this because, I mean, I would love to even come on and do one with you for cricket because and talk about all the boys who I have right now in the IPL. So there's this boy called Tajinder Singh Dhillon who's not been tested yet. And he opened with Mumbai with Tendulkar for a year. For 4 matches, they didn't test him out. And here, so if he gets a chance, somebody to look out for. Gurkirat Man, he's been playing a long time, and he's my Manan Vora. Shubman Gill is already showing his class, so we can talk about that. And then anything else you have to talk about. For example, I would love to tell you about my views on why the difference between Danny Bath and Sandesh Jingan is nothing except Sandesh Jingan was born in India and Danny Bath was born there. If Sandesh Jingan was born there and Danny Bath was born here, Danny Bath would be playing in the ISL and Sandesh Jingan would be playing in the Premier League. Proof. Saprit Singh, a New Zealand boy, under 17 boy, came for the World Cup here playing for New Zealand, now playing for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like I said, thank you so much. Keep rebelling, and hopefully we'll keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Always speaking from that. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Take care.